This is Nathan with the Divine Pollination Hive. You're going to need some safety gloves. Very important that you have these. You do not want to get resin on you. Just buy a box of gloves, or you can use cleaning gloves, whatever you want. Safety glasses are important, especially if you're going to be cutting up the metal shavings, but also for the resin. You don't want that in your eyes, and you don't want any metal pieces in your eyes. The metal that I'm using in this is little pot scrubbers. They are stainless steel, and you just cut them up. Yeah, right there in that thing, there's 8 pot scrubbers cut up in that. I cut them up into little tiny small pieces. They do stick together, but that's okay. Need some crystals, quartz crystals, amethyst crystals, tiger's eye, whatever you want, but at least quartz, these are some smaller ones. You don't really need that much. I'm going to put 3 in ours, but that's not a big deal. There's a cake mold for making little plates. You don't need a lot in there. You're not going to fill the whole thing up, but it does make something that you can purify your gallon jug of water or something like that. You can put fruit on it, that kind of thing. Those are for the tower busters. A little muffin tin, muffin pan. There's your polyester or polymer resin. This stuff, because it's polymer resin, is a little yellow. You're also going to need a hardener. Make sure you have the hardener, otherwise it'll take weeks and you have to make it warm. The hardener gets really, really, really hot and makes it harden fast. There's a little thing to stir up your concoction in. We're going to start with lightly lubricating the pans. Just a little bit of olive oil or any other kind of cooking oil will do. If it's a non-stick pan, that helps as well. Start putting your metal filings in, or in this case the pot scrubbers, stainless steel. You don't have to put them that high, because you want to put the crystal in there as well, or the crystals. Make sure it's nice and even. You want at least a 50-50 mix of resin to metal by the time this is all finished. The metal filings are going to be a little bit easier. The scrubbies are a little bit difficult to play with. Now stick your crystals in. For the case of this, we're putting 3 small crystals in each one. Really, you don't need something bigger than your fingernail, if it's the size of your fingernail, but I'm just trying to be safe by putting enough in. Okay, there, that's what it looks like. Now I'll start covering it up with even more of the metal filings. or in this case, again, the stainless steel pot scrubbers that were cut up. If you put too much in, it'll stick out the other side, so don't do that. It's kind of awkward. Okay, this is what everything looks like now after we've done the 12 in the muffin pan, and also the hot plate, or the charging plate. Push down the charging plate a little bit, make it a little more even and flat, so when we pour it'll be easier. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the resin and pour it in. Make sure you have your gloves on for this and your safety goggles. Put in your hardener, the catalyst. It's better to put a little too much than too little. Stir it up with something wooden, something you don't mind getting a little dirty, and stir it up really well. Make sure it's nice and stirred up there. I'm really making sure it's good. Resin's going to be the most expensive part of this whole thing. Okay, so now start pouring. Pour a little bit in, come back to it, make sure it all soaks in. The more dense your filings, you're going to have to wait a little longer to make sure it's all in. I mixed in a little bit more there. Just start pouring. That was our cat. I had to make sure she didn't get close to this. It was dangerous, and I had my gloves on, which already had a bunch of resin on there, so I had to kind of give her a little helpful nudge to know not to get near that for safety. You notice in this batch I put a little too much metal filings in, a little too many of the pot scrubbers, and so they were kind of sticking out of the top even when I put it all in. So just realize that you can put too much in, too many metal filings in, but you really just want a nice 50-50 mix of metal filings or pot scrubbers to the resin that you're putting in. Another thing is once this pours, in about a couple minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, some amount of time, the whole pan is going to get super, super hot, because the resin with the hardener is going to, the catalyst makes it turn extremely hot so that it'll harden. Well, that heat, you can burn yourself. So you definitely want to be able to take off your gloves prior to that happening. You want to pour it, make sure it's in a good place, take off your gloves, cover it up if you need to, whatever, to make sure it doesn't get any dust in there or anything. And definitely take off your gloves, and don't plan on touching the muffin pan for at least an hour or so, because it's going to be especially hot for that first hour. As you can see, I only got about 10 tower busters from 1 liter's worth of resin, especially with the density of metal that I used. Since this wasn't metal filings or shavings, it was more the pot scrubbers, there was a lot less metal compared to the resin.